Hi, this is Matthew. I'm going to start an entirely different new album series of the Beach Boys albums from beginning to most recent. And we'll start with Surfin Safari back in 1962. When, let's see, range of ages here. You get from Carl Wilson being basically 15, and Dennis Wilson's 17. Brian Wilson's 20, and Carl Wilson's 21. There's another guy, I don't know his age. I forget his name at the moment, but we'll get to it in the people. But Elder Jardine, who was in the band, would have been 21 also. There's one other guy, he came in briefly for this 62 and 63. But they basically started in Hawthorne, California. I can't get much info on their early life from Wikipedia, at least. It's very lacking on anything with them right now. Even this album, I don't have a lot of info on. But the Wilsons grew up in a musical household. Their dad, Murray, was kind of a songwriter. I think a little bit of an arranger. Wanted to be a big band musician, I think, based on the TV movie on them I saw years ago. So that was kind of a thing that they did. They liked listening to a lot of early rock and roll and R&B, and Brian Wilson, I know, liked some early vocal groups. He learned at about 16 he got a reel-to-reel tape recorder, learned how to record things, overdub things, which means you put things on top of other things like vocals and stuff. Learned how to do some of that. They formed a band with their cousin Mike Love, and then Al Jardine was a friend of theirs. The Pendletones, I think is how it was pronounced, which to me would not have worked, but they did go with that one. And it's about 1961 they get signed by a small label. They put out, I believe, Surfin'. Which they sound very young on. That one. And then get signed to Capitol, I think, and put out Surfin' Safari in 409. Then they find out they're called the Beach Boys. Apparently they didn't know about that. So that was a label decision. That did, the Surfin' Safari with 409, that did really well. That single did. I think it's 14 on the charts, which got them an album because of that. It did pretty well in I think New York and Phoenix even, as well as California where they were. The only actual surfer apparently is Dennis Wilson. He kind of got them into writing about that lifestyle and that culture and those kinds of people. Brian Wilson did like a lot of jazz too, so he tended to use that. When they recorded with Capitol, he got them to let him do a lot of the producing and stuff, mixing. I think Murray, their dad, helped with some of that too, but mostly Brian Wilson, not credited. I think whatever engineer that was on the session with him, he got credited instead. Very basic. I guess it was put out in mono and stereo, but I can't find much about it. That would have been the fake or dual-phonic stereo. There's a true stereo mix. The Apple Music version is just mono. It's the 2015 version from Capitol. But I don't have any way easily to find it that way. The next album I can, but this one, there's no other version available. A very short album. Clocked in at 28 minutes, I believe. I think the next one's 24. It's even shorter. But yeah, it's really good. Considering, it's a bunch of guys who don't quite know their sound yet, trying to figure out what they want to do. Probably not a great studio. It's the basement studio, apparently, on the Capitol building. For the label, not our Capitol, but Capitol Records label building. I think it was only a 3-track recording, possibly. I don't know if it was even 4-track. Very basic tape stuff. Not a lot of... I don't think there's any reverb on this thing at all. Considering you got two band members who are teenagers, they're not even adults yet. It sounds pretty good, considering. Yeah, Mike Love does most of the vocals. Carl does one. Dennis does one. Brian Wilson only does one vocal. Back then, those labels you would pick a single that you thought was strong enough, and you would put, that would be your album title, obviously. In this case, it's Surfin Safari, because that was the stronger of the singles. And then you just usually would put covers or lesser known material around it. Most of the songs on here are originals, and not as good as others, but, they're just getting it figured out. Very few covers on here. Very few. Mostly of it's original material that they've written themselves in some form. So that's pretty cool. It sounds good. Even now, it still sounds pretty good. If it keeps your interest, it's pretty upbeat stuff. See, greater things are to come, but to start out with, it's pretty good. But knowing there's not a stereo version I can get to easily. Maybe there's some on YouTube, but, if it's there and stuff, why not just put it out everywhere so we can hear mono and stereo, because I'd like to have compared them. But I guess I won't for this album. I know I can for the next one, but not this one. I don't know why. It's good stuff because you got two, Surfin' was a fairly okay thing. It works. It's a good debut song. Surfin' Safari and 409 were definitely hits. I guess 409 being the B-side, but I've heard it on radio stations. Also, I guess 10 Little Indians backed with a song called County Fair was also available. I don't think it didn't do much. Not bad tunes, though. There's a random girl on County Fair. It's talking about trying to win prizes at a county fair for his girl. And failing, but another guy does, and she goes off with him. It's kind of sad. But I don't know who the girl is. Maybe hopefully it will say on Wikipedia who she is. I'm assuming it's someone they know, maybe? Or something. I don't know. But yeah. Just not a lot of information about much. Probably Mike Love also plays saxophone somewhere, but I don't think he does on this album. He did play it. And when I look at the people, hopefully I can go back and remember that other guy's name who's on this album. And the 63 ones was Al Jardine. I guess he left for a while, didn't think they were going to be successful commercially, and left. I don't know what to do other things. Came back, obviously, but right now he's just kind of like, I don't want to, you guys aren't going anywhere. But how wrong he was. I guess he'll find out in a few albums. But, hey, they're doing pretty well. Let me go back and talk to those guys again. So, yeah, we'll see what's on it, though. We're back to sides, of course, because it's records again. So we're back to our sides again. Instead of track listings, it just says songs in this one. Hopefully we'll get better articles as we go along. Side 1, some different things about just some of the songs. Oh, 409, I guess the engineer guy was obsessed with cars, and the sound of the car on the track is him driving by the Wilson's house, and they've got a tape recorder set up with an extension cord basically out the door of the house, recording him going by. That's kind of cool. Okay. Hopefully we'll get a track listing here. Yeah, hopefully we'll get a thing here. Let's see if we can find some tracks here. Oh, here we go. Here's our track listing. Finally. I was in the wrong place. Side 1, we have Surfin Safari, of course, because that was your strong song at that point. Brian Wilson and Mike Love wrote that. Mike Love sings it, of course. It is a whopping 2 minutes and 6 seconds long, just so you know. These are very short songs. Then we have County Fair, which is Brian Wilson and Gary Usher. I think he was, on here. Mike Love on vocals again. And does not say who that girl is. Tyndall Indians is next. That's Brian Wilson and I think his name is Nick Usher, I think. Mike Love on vocals again. And then Chug-a-Lug, also Wilson, Usher, and Mike Love wrote that. Mike Love on vocals again. Pretty easy to spot once you know who's on vocals. They're pretty cool. Little Girl by Miss America is a Herb Alpert and Vince Catalano track. Was that with Tijuana Brass? Maybe I don't recognize that name, but they do a cover of that one with Dennis Wilson on vocals. That's his contribution vocally at 15 years old. Pretty cool. He's 17, sorry. Not bad for 17. Then we have 409, of course. Wilson, Usher, Love is credited that. Mike Love on vocals again. Of course, that's side 1. Side 2, because we're 12 tracks, because it's capital. And that's usually how long albums were at that point. Surfin', of course, that was from the other label, which I guess they must have gotten a hold of it somehow. It's just, Brian Wilson and Mike Love wrote that one. Mike Love on lead vocals. There's harmonies, of course, for everybody on these tracks at different times, but as basic as it is, they're not quite the complex things that you would hear later, but we'll get there, I'm sure. Heads You Win, Tails I Lose is Brian Wilson and Nick Usher, I think his name is. Mike Love on lead vocals. Summertime Blues, which is the Carl Perkins, Ed Cochran cover. Jerry Capehart also wrote it. That is a 15-year-old Carl Wilson. It says David Marks. That was the other guy, David Marks. It says debated. David Marks was who took over for Al Jardine, but he's on this track also. I'm not sure where. And then we have Cuckoo Clock. Is a Brian Wilson, I think Nick Usher, Wilson Usher thing. The only Brian Wilson vocals, he sounds totally different on this song. Doesn't quite sound like Brian Wilson yet, but it's him. You can tell it's him. But a nice first go at it. Then we have a random instrumental called Moondog, which I guess most people contribute to be is like the first surfing song. So they cover that. Barry Weaver's who wrote it and is an instrumental. You could when there are some ooh ah kind of harmony things. You can kind of hear what was coming later as far as the harmonies go. So it's there in a form. It's kind of cool. Cool little track there. And then we end with The Shift. Wilson Love. Mike Love on lead vocals. So yeah, we only hit 24 minutes long, I think. Looks like. There's the bonus tracks from a CD reissue of the two albums. Because the next album is Surfing USA, but there is a bonus track version of them together in '90. I have not seen that, but we have a couple of interesting tracks here. We have, if you can find this version, that'd be cool to hear this. We next have Cindy Oh Cindy, which is Robert Bear and Burt Long track. Vocals from Brian Wilson. The Baker Man, it was a Brian Wilson tune with Brian Wilson on vocals there. I'm not sure what these were from. Okay, not a lot of info for Wikipedia. I don't understand why, but there's not a lot of information for this album. Land Ahoy, that's a cool title. A Brian Wilson tune. Does not say who's on lead vocals. Is it an instrumental? Doesn't indicate that. Okay. Yeah, that makes a 31 minute and 14-second album. Oh, apparently he was. Mike Love didn't get credits for Chug Lugger 409 until there was a court case in '94. Apparently, that now he's got credit. I'm not sure who was credited before, but that's not very nice. So I'm glad he got credit for it. That's not cool, guys. Okay, summary issues of this album take out Surfin' and Cuckoo Clock, and Chug Lug gets to the beginning of the album. That's interesting. Oh, side 2. Okay. Our personnel, we have a few different places they've gotten this info from. Beach Boys, of course. Al Jardine on vocals of double bass on Surfin'. I think he's the little bum dip to dip thing. I think that might be Al Jardine. I'm not sure. That's his only credit on this album because he's not there for a bit. Mike Love vocals and saxophone on Tin Little Indians. Okay. Oh yeah, there was a sax there. Okay, I forgot that. Yeah, so he's playing sax. Brian Wilson vocals, electric bass, and organ and snare drum on things. Oh, and a tap too. He tapped it with a pencil. Okay, that's cool. Carl Wilson on vocals, electric lead guitar, and just guitar and drums. Yeah, there's a random acoustic guitar on Surfin' for a second. David Mark vocals and rhythm guitar. Okay, yeah, he's not on Surfin', so. Additional people, including production people. Oh, Gary Usher's sound effects on 409. I don't know who Gary Usher is yet. Nick Vinnett is the producer. Mary Wilson was additional production, yet uncredited. That's their dad, who I think was possibly abusive to them. I'm not sure. Brian specifically, I've heard. I don't know how great of a person he was, unfortunately. But yeah, he was here. I don't know. Eventually, I think they get rid of him, but I don't know. I think there's some issues to come with him around. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. And I don't know who this Usher is. Who is Gary Usher? I don't know who this guy is. That's going to annoy me here. We have. Let me go look him up really quick because I don't know who he is. I'm going to stick the Beach Boy. I'm going to see who this guy is. Let me check really quick. Oh, did it not put him in? Hang on. Oh, it didn't take him. Let me try it again. Okay, let's see. Who is this guy? I kind of don't know who this guy is if he's comes up later. That way I'll know who I'm talking about. And I had not seen who this guy was yet until now. Who is he? Let's see here. Oh, okay, he was a producer guy. Helped him write some of the songs. Okay, all right. They must have gotten him in to help out. I'm not sure who he was otherwise. Okay, he's just a producer guy, I guess it looks like. Okay, but now I know that. That way I'll know who I'm talking about later. I'm sure he'll show up on other albums. So I wanted to check who he was really fast because I don't know that name. I like this stuff. I don't know a lot about the surfer music scene, as it were. I like other things by other groups, but I just don't know. I'm not as into that, but I do like it. But yeah, that's this album at the moment. So that is all I know at the moment. It did a good first attempt, I think. I enjoyed it. Kept me very interested. I tend to listen to these before I go to sleep a lot of times, so I definitely was awake for the whole thing, so that's great. I didn't have to go back and listen to something quickly, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Even though the drums are basic, they're still solid. By Dennis Wilson on drums, so not bad for 17. You know, and it'd be over 50 years ago, so I thought it was a good first attempt. Obviously, greater things will come as we go along, and things will get more complex and more harmonies and different. These guys are also known for recording, unusual ways of recording stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully, there'll be some notes about some of that as we go, and the groups will get better stuff as time goes on and they get more money into them. Obviously, there's no lives from here. It'd be fun to have heard a live album from this period. If there are recordings available. They were such a new band when they did all of this, because they just started in late '61. So, yeah, pretty good for two teenagers and three guys that are barely adults. pretty good attempt, guys. Yeah, good first attempt. Can't wait to hear the rest. Obviously, with Capitol, we're going to get mostly 2 albums a year. I'll still do one each time. I don't want to overload myself. I'll try to hit if there's any random live recordings if I find any. I know there's a couple from this period, because Apple Music used to do a thing where you could just it would be like the complete Beach Boys, and you could just go in there and hear every album. It's like just one huge page with everything, and I miss that. Because you could kind of see where things were. Did they give them names? I can't remember. It was just one humongous page. All that is gone. And I really wish that was back, because there was on a random, slightly related note, but not entirely. They had a whole complete Motown singles thing from when it started to the present day. And I'll be darned if that set is gone. It was neat. I think it's in 2 or 3 volumes now. It was so cool. Just to go through that, you could just leave that on for hours and just hear all these great songs, and I'm just it's gone. They don't do that now. It's so sad. Yeah, Stevie Wonder's albums were that way, and you could just hit play and leave it forever if you wanted. You could just let it sit there and play. You didn't have to do anything. Those went away though. This was one of those sets you could just complete the Beach Boys discography thing and you click. But it's gone. Oh well, yeah, because they even grouped in all the live albums and everything. It was just all one big thing, and that would be nice to know about, because I could have just easily found those, gone down a bit ways down the page. And, oh, there's the first one. There's the second one. I think they're fairly close together. There's some neat things on those lives too, but I'll find them again. Obviously, there'll be some Screamy Girls for a while. Not at Beatles levels, but there'll be some Screaming Girls. But yeah, we will move next to 63. There's only one album in 62, so we'll move on to 63 with Surfin' USA and see what goes on there, and just have some more well-known things. Some sound gets developed a bit more. So yeah, we will get there and see where the Wilson, Love, and company go from here. But that will do for the moment. I will see you guys in another video.